What is Discord and why should your church be using it? That's what we're talking about today on the podcast. Get ready because it's time.
You're listening to the Church Digital Sidekick Podcast, part of the TCD Podcast Network.
Hey heroes, my name is Tom Pounder and this is the Church Digital Sidekick Podcast. This is the podcast where we bring on ministry leaders and we talk about how you can do ministry more effectively in this very digital and online world. And today I've got my friend Andy Mage on. And Andy is a friend that I got to meet through the Church Digital, but he has lots of experience in ministry, especially digital and online ministry. He's actually helping a digital only church right now, and he's got, again, experience in person church as well, doing online ministry and worship stuff. But he's talking about Discord today, and we're talking to him specifically because he knows a lot and I don't know a lot, but I do know the value in Discord and that how it can really help your church connect with people every single day. So today Andy talks about what your church can be using Discord for, how you can get involved with it, what you should be aware of, and why you should jump into it now. But also he talks about how you should be getting into the Church Digital's Discord channel. That's right, the Church Digital has a great website and great podcast network, great blogs, great learning communities that he also mentions as well. But we also have a Discord channel where you can really connect with other online ministers and get encouragement there. So I've got all the links to Andy's stuff, but also to the Discord channel in the comment section below in the show notes. So you definitely want to check out that and get daily encouragement. But I'm really excited to talk to Andy about Discord and how your church can use it. So without any further ado, let's get into the conversation right now with Andy. All right, with me right now is my friend Andy Mage. Andy, how are you?
Good, Tom. It is. I think this is the first time I've ever been on Sidekick, actually.
Yes, this is. I've tried to get you numerous times, but you're so busy.
I'm flighty. I'm all over the place. You know, I'm here and there and everywhere. So no, I'm honored. Thanks for asking me to be on.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're on. We've known each other for a few years now through our mutual friend Jeff Reed, and so I kind of know what you do. Well, I don't kind of know what you do. I do know what you do. It would be weird if I didn't know what you did. But some of the people may not know who you are. So give a quick little bio about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Andy Mage. I'm hailing from Tampa, Florida. I've been kind of all over the place, originally from Michigan, Tampa, and lived in southern New Jersey. Was a worship pastor there for a little bit. Was a worship pastor in Atlanta. Owned and operated and opened a nonprofit faith-based gym. A whole lot of stuff. I was a worship pastor for about 10 years. And then for the last 5 years, I was the digital pastor for a multi-site church down here in Tampa called Bay Hope. And in kind of the middle of all of that, I was also helping out with as the on-demand ministries director for a completely digital church called Lux Digital Church, a church that is based on Twitch and Discord. And the beginning of this year, I actually stepped away from my full-time role as digital pastor and became the creative pastor for Lux. And so that's what I do full time now. That's my 9 to 5. Well, nothing is 9 to 5 in the digital world. That's my 9 to 5 role, but also I am the chief operating officer for the Church Digital. I was the COO for Digital Church Network, and then we kind of rolled everything in right at the beginning of the year. And here we are, man. It's there's a many different hats that I, and you know this very well. You wear a lot of hats. I wear a lot of hats. Things are always shifting and changing and moving, and that's part of the fun of it, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely. And you and I, we like to talk about a few different things because, you live in Tampa. So my daughters have gone to University of South Florida in Tampa. And you're a Michigan fan.
Yes, sir.
And so, at the time of this recording, they're the national champions of football.
Always in my heart.
Yeah. But the one thing that always, I know you've said this to me before, but the worship stuff, I've never associated you. I've always associated you with digital. So that's why it's I've never associated you with worship. So that always throws me when you say that.
Yeah, it's my entire family. We're all musicians. My mother, who unfortunately passed away from breast cancer a couple of years ago, she was a professional pianist. My dad is a professional bassist. They did other things, but they actually met touring on the road. Like they were in a group together, touring all over the place. So they kind of instilled that within us. started playing piano when I was 4 and 5. My brother, he's the executive the executive director of creative at Bay Hope as well. He's a musician. My sister is one of the directors at Bay Hope as well, the director of experience. She is a musician. She's got an incredible voice. I mean, it's just kind of, we used to all lead worship together. It was our thing, man. And occasionally I'll pop over now to Bay Hope and lead worship with them, and it's a lot of fun. It feels like home, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That
Yeah.
that is really really cool. How did you get associated with Jeff Reed? When did you come into contact with him?
Yeah. 2019, I was a young buck in the digital ministry. I actually started in June of 2019, so about 8 or 9 months before that thing that happened in 2020 that we don't speak of, he who shall not be named. And I had come into contact with him actually through Nils Smith. I'd done a podcast with Nils and with oh my gosh, who was it? Aaron Magnuson. Actually, I had met with him and then done a podcast with them. And Aaron and Nils put me in touch with Jeff, and Jeff put out the all call. He was actually starting a Bible study. And so it was me and him and maybe 2 or 3 other guys from around the country that were doing a Bible study at Tuesdays at 2 or whatever, Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. And we were doing that. And then, slowly that Bible study faded, and Jeff and I started doing a lot of stuff together. And we have been working pretty much off and on for the last 5 years together. I've been part of the Church Digital setup now for a year and a half, and am now the COO of it. And it's a wacky, wild time, man.
Yeah, man. Well, it's great having you there and kind of being that COO, and really running a lot of stuff. I mean, you are everywhere in the digital world, and that's what I mean. I mean, you've got 2 podcasts, the Hybrid Disciple, and then Text to Testimony.
From Text to Testimony, yep.
With John.
Yep.
And we're not supposed to be talking about podcasting, but we're going to talk about it just for a quick second.
Yeah.
What got you into podcasting? Because you're great at it. What got you into it?
Well, thanks. I have actually been doing podcasting and radio and all that actually for probably 10 to 15 years as well. Podcasting was a thing that I have been. So back when I first started ministry, one of the things I used to listen to all the time was a couple of church podcasts. And this was 15-ish years ago. Podcasting was like a real labor of love to try to listen to them. You had to go to like an iTunes feed, and then you had to download it onto an iPod because they didn't have iPhones then. You had to put it on like an iPod Shuffle. And then I was, I'm a runner, I'm a fitness enthusiast. And so I'd be out listening to, a couple of news podcasts and a couple of church podcasts. And then over time, that evolved into other likes. And I don't know, it's my favorite medium for when I'm driving or working out or doing anything. I always have some sort of podcast on, whether it's sports or video games or tech or news or, Bible. The Bible Project, one of my top 10, of course, any sort of learning, any sort of leadership thing. And then I actually started doing podcasting. Well, I was doing radio for a little bit, but I was doing podcasting about 10 years ago. It was real bad. We were doing like kind of a video game podcast. And then that just kind of morphed. I've stayed friends with those guys. I've probably done 30 or 40 different podcasts in my life, started them and stopped them and done all those other things. And I've had a couple of long running ones now. Text to Testimony is one of the longer ones. Hybrid Disciple, we're going into season 3 and in the next month. And so pretty excited about both of those.
Yeah, they're great podcasts. And I'm going to include all of Andy's links and how to connect with them and the links to the podcast. They're fantastic podcasts. I love listening to them. You and Ashley talking about the Hybrid Disciple stuff is really cool, especially for today's world. I think it's really important for people to listen to, whether you're a digital minister or not. It's really important. Yeah. Okay, so we could talk about podcasts forever, but let's talk about Discord. I have you on here because you are my Discord guy. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but we have a great opportunity at the Church Digital for online and digital ministers to really connect and learn and grow and work together on a Discord channel. But as I was thinking about Discord, my church we're getting ready to launch one. And so I need to learn. Like one of the younger guys brought it to my attention. He's like, man, we should really start a Discord. I'm like, great. I don't know anything about it. I mean, like I'm a part of a Discord, but I don't know, And so why don't you give us a little bit of a background about what is Discord? why it's important. Well, we'll get from there, but we'll talk about what is Discord uh, for people who may not know.
Yeah. So Discord is the gamers version of Slack. And most of you out there have used Slack. It is a communication tool that it relies on single servers. So everything is based off of one server. They call it a server, quote unquote. It's not just one little whatever, but and so you have your own server, and then within that server you have different channels. And this goes back to what was called IRC way back in the day, internet relay chat. Excuse me. I was part of IRC way back before like AOL Instant Messenger and all that
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
IRC was it was essentially like online bulletin boards, and you'd go to IRC and you'd talk about the Deftones, and you'd talk about music, and then you'd talk about sports and video games and like the newest Quake 2 cheats and all that other stuff. And so that was happening in IRC. Well, what ended up happening was IRC spun off into what's called Slack. Now Slack is traditionally, it's the same kind of model. There's a server with channels, and that's more used for business.
Okay.
Discord sprung up, I want to say maybe 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, and it was primarily based around gamers. The problem was with gaming is that you have these disparate systems. You've got Xbox Live, you've got PlayStation, you've got Nintendo even trying to do things, and then you've got PC games, and none of them 10 or 15 years ago really had a good way to talk to each other on those platforms. Xbox Live kind of did, but it was kind of a chore to get somebody into a chat. And so Discord saw a need, and they said, cool, we can help. We can give people an app, and we can give people a kind of a PC program that it lives outside of those games, that allows you to be in community with your friends. And then all you do is click a button, the Discord voice chat popped up, and then you can play games with people and you can bypass all of the in-game things. And it was revolutionary. It was awesome. I was part of a couple of Discord servers back then. Discord back in 2020 was still pretty gamer focused. And even to this day, if you look at the app for Discord, it's kind of a controller, right? It looks like an Xbox controller.
Okay.
Now it's morphed over time a little bit. And it's in 2020, what they realized was that Discord could be used for things other than gamers. There was a lot of churches, but also a lot of organizations, nonprofits, and podcast networks and TV networks and all sorts of things that were using Discord to actually have an asynchronous community, and to build that community and to grow and to talk, to face, to have they built in video chat features. And so you can video chat. It's almost like Zoom, except it has a soundboard, and you can do frog noises and foghorns and all sorts of stuff in there. You can share GIFs, you can share images. It's a real great place to form community. And they started to realize, hey, number one, we can make money, but number two, we can generate a larger audience if we start straying a little bit away from the gamerese. And so what you'll notice on Discord now is that there's less of like that RGB sort of like sweaty gamer feel to it, and it feels a little bit more, I'm going to say grown up, but it just feels a little bit more user friendly. Yeah. And that's what Discord is. Discord is a very user friendly platform. And to Discord's credit, they have supported the communities inside of there. They're really good about updates. They're really good about communicating with all of their server admins and their servers themselves. And there's some quirkiness to it, and there's some definitely community things, but you can go start a server for free. Like, it's just go for it. Go to discord.com, download the thing, and start a server. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is it a free platform, or do you have to pay for it?
No, so it is ostensibly a free platform, and you can get actually a decent amount of coverage if you're doing just a free version. You get, I think, up to 720p video chats. You get a certain amount of voice chat. You don't get all of the full bandwidth or everything like that. You don't necessarily get all of the benefits of like all of the image capturing and all of the GIFs and all of the emoji and all of the fun things that you can do. You don't get the games and all the other stuff that you can play in there. But yeah, you get a way to reliably communicate with people. And so like at Bayhope, when I was at Bayhope, we started Discord, and it was great because I no longer had to rely on Facebook to talk to people, because Facebook is the big, gigantic, hairy, evil thing that we all know. And I didn't have to worry about trying to talk to people and try to form a community with people in something like Instagram, or, back when Twitter was Twitter and now it's X. I didn't have to worry about DMs or anything. It was real-time asynchronous communication. It was a message to a message to a message. I didn't have to email. It was just straight up. Lux in our Lux Discord server, actually, we have about 800 people, and that's where we live essentially 24/7. Outside of when we're doing church service, all of our people are in Discord, and that's just kind of how we make our home.
Yeah, okay, this is good because what I'm hearing you say is that this is a great place for people to come to hang out beyond Sunday. So like if you're a church, you this gives you an opportunity to connect with people every single day, correct?
Yep, correct. And more than that, it is a place. So I actually just did a podcast with Jeff Reed about this. Actually, yesterday we were talking. We were live in Discord and we were recording a podcast. And one of the things I was mentioning in there was that there's a very cool thing that you get to do. You get real time. You can have real time communication. You can have real time synchronous voice chats and video chats. I'm looking at you, Tom, on my teleprompter right now. Like I can see you. You can see me on your computer monitor. That's synchronous community. But there's also a very quick way to sweep away some of the dirt that kind of covers over real relationships. Some of the, you just clear away kind of the leaves and the bramble that's on the pathway, and you can immediately start talking to people asynchronously. You can get on the same level with them. You can open up a channel, in our, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but we have our very own Church Digital Discord that we're going to invite you all to. We have we have a prayer request channel and a devotional channel and a discipleship channel, but we've also got a meme channel, and we've got an art and a music channel and movies and a TV. The meme channel is one of my favorites because we get people posting, Leighton, Flat Cap Leighton posted a brick wall that had been busted down, and it said, when you see it on the bottom, and then there's a wanted poster for the Kool-Aid Man next to it. And I laughed so loud when I saw that, and that's just, that's what that is. There's an immediate way to talk to people and really get on their level. And the thing that happens with a lot of churches and live, especially digital churches or churches that are doing the hybrid, digital physical thing, is that they concentrate on that 1 hour, and then they forget that the other 167 other hours exist, and people actually exist in those 167 hours each week. And that's what Discord is kind of really being leveraged for in the church world.
Yeah, and what I also hear you saying is that while you can use it for religious and spiritual formation purposes, which I think it would be good to use, it goes beyond that. Like you're talking about sharing memes, you're sharing videos, you're doing other things. So talk to me about a little bit about what would you as a church Discord channel, what would you put in your Discord channel what would you put in?
Yeah. That's a great question. I when we started the Bay Hope Discord, I actually took a lot of cues from what we're doing at Lux. I didn't form the Lux Discord server; that was actually formed pre me. I came into the Lux community probably about 4 or 5 months after it had really been formed. I kind of heard about it and was drawn to a church that was by gamers for gamers, but then grew into something a little bit different and something a little bit more awesome than that. And I took a lot of cues from that. And so my advice would be to always keep some of the general channels, have something like an announcements channel, definitely have a general chat where that's just your general chat. Just that's like, hey, but how's everybody doing today? Like what's going on? I like having something called introduce yourself as well, just to allow people to kind of pop in there and just, if they want to talk, like, hey, here's who I am. I would then, it's going to depend on your community. Like, what is your community interested in? Your Discord server is going to take on the flavor of your community. It's like it's going to marinate a little bit, and so it's going to change over time. Is your community interested in content? Cool. Well, have a podcast channel, have a YouTube sharing channel, have a TV channel, have all those other things. Is it interested in gaming? Cool. Like, put a general gaming channel. And then are they interested in Destiny? Are they interested in League of Legends? Like, put another one of those channels. Do some tech channels and do some, photo and meme channels and, stuff to kind of allow people to feel comfortable. But then also open up, and in my highest recommendations, open up a prayer request channel, open up a devotional channel, and open up a discipleship channel. Now, the discipleship channel might sit empty for a little bit while you figure out how you want to do discipleship in your digital community. But the prayer request channel is a no-brainer. That's where you direct people. Hey, you got prayer requests. Hey, we've got a prayer team in there. Get some volunteers in there to give them a role, give them a whatever, allow them to pray for people, and allow those people to kind of have DMs back and forth. And then the devotionals channel is something that also is going to take a little bit of time, but you can really get a volunteer or two in there to write a devotional or two devotionals a week and post them in there, tag some people and just say, hey, was thinking about you when I wrote this here you go. It's not it, you're not going to get super C.S. Lewisy in depth in those devotionals, but it's really gonna be the tip of the spear in terms of spiritual formation.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's very cool. So let me ask you this then: how do you get people into the Discord? Can they naturally find it? Do you send people links to it? Like, is it for? Or do you use it primarily for outreach, for discipleship, for both? Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think the answer to that second question is both. It's a both and. You use it for outreach and you use it also for discipleship. There's a really cool thing that can happen in Discord. You can assign roles, or you can essentially assign permissions, and there's general roles that people can have, and so they can only see maybe 10 channels out of the 20 channels you have. But as they progress further into whatever discipleship pathway you have, you give them another role, and then you open up a couple more channels for them. And now, now if they're running a small group, well, okay, cool, well, you give them the small group role. Now, not only was it used for discipleship, but now you can effectively use it for outreach as well if you give them the evangel, whatever, however you want to do. It is a very customizable tool. Is in terms of getting people into there, that's the real trick. You need to be able to share that link. There's ways to create invite links, permanent invite links all over the place. If you pay, I think it's like maybe 20 or 30 bucks a month. It's called Nitro. If you get a certain like boost in your server, you can actually get discrete links. So like discord.gg/ theChurch.digital or whatever it's going to be. You can actually get those, and then you just start spraying that link everywhere on all your social medias. Anytime you get somebody into your community, invite them to Discord. They might not be interested in Discord. They might have no clue. They might not want another messaging platform, and that's perfectly fine. One thing you will see, though, is that more and more people are moving into Discord. Slowly but surely, it is becoming a more inhabited neighborhood, and that's because people are realizing the ease of really conversation and community that happens within it. It's much, much easier to talk on Discord than it is to talk in a Facebook group. Just so much. There's no algorithm to worry about. You don't have to worry about opening up Facebook and then getting derailed by 15 other things that are trying to sell you products and all that. You don't have to worry about that. It is simple 1-to-1 or 1-to-100 communication. It's great.
That's awesome. Okay, so what's the general like? Are like younger people more apt to do it? Older people, a little bit of mix of both. Like, how has that been for the age range on that?
Yeah, it depends on what server you go to. I will say in our Lux server, it's mostly 25 to 35-year-olds. Now, granted, that's the demographic, excuse me, of the church.
Mm-hmm.
But 25 to 35-year-olds primarily, like I said, this tool has been around for 10 years. A 25-year-old was 15, right at the pinnacle of hanging out with friends and playing video games. I was reading a study yesterday. I think it was done by Bloomberg, possibly, that said that people that are growing up are going out less and less on Friday nights, meaning they're not going clubbing and they're not drinking and they're not, partying like that. And instead they're staying home and playing games with their friends. Now, there's flip sides to that. That's a good and bad thing. That's good that you don't have idiots getting drunk and driving around on the road, but also, people are feeling a little bit more isolated. So you take the good with the bad. But
Mm-hmm.
where I go with that is most of those people are using Discord to communicate with their friends and to hang out and play video games. And that's just kind of become an I have a 20-year-old son who is going to the University of Central Florida, which you can see right there. Go Knights on my coffee mug for those listening on podcast. My daughter's also going there in a couple of months. And he and I connect on Discord all the time. Like it was so weird. I was walking him through how to do his taxes on a Discord call. It was like the most surreal sort of like, I don't know how to do this anymore, man. Like, I don't know what life is. I guess I'm getting too old for this type of moment.
Dude, that's wild. Yeah, okay, that's great. Okay, so two questions now. One is, what do you about trolls? Do you encounter any trolls in there? And then two is, it seems like, again, since this could be a 24/7 type of thing, what would be the ideal team if a church was going to be starting this up? It's probably too much for just one person to be doing. So, what would you recommend as an ideal team size to help manage this?
Those are two phenomenal questions, by the
Oh,
way.
great,
And
good.
those are two Congratulations. Take a bow, Tom. Those are questions I don't think that people are asking enough of, by the way. They just say like, oh, cool, like Discord's going to be the thing. And then they don't realize that it's going to eat your lunch if you let it. So trolls, I can go to that one. That one's a pretty easy one. There's always going to be trolls. There's always, I mean, that's the internet. The internet is just, you turn on your computer. It's the old Bilbo Baggins thing of it's dangerous to step outside your front door. Well, it's dangerous to turn on your Wi-Fi. Like it just is. There are easy ways of controlling trolls through a couple of bots. If you need any help with that, by the way, I'm running a learning community on asynchronous community.
Nice.
Through the Church Digital starting in June of 2024. You can go to thechurch.digital to sign up for those learning communities. I'll be running one of those and teach you all about some of the bots that are there and how to actually manage the bots. Super simple. They're pretty user friendly, and it's not really super out of control. You get a surprising amount of granular control when it comes to controlling what people can say and how, and links and all the other things that happen there. So Discord has some of those tools built in. There's also some exterior tools you can plug in. So that's number one. And number two, the manning of Discord. You're right. Business is often formed on the idea of the flywheel principle, where it takes a lot of energy. Flywheel, like that. If you think about a bicycle, it takes a lot of energy to get that bike going, to get that flywheel spinning. But once you get all that energy in there, and once you get that thing moving, then it just takes a little bit of energy to keep it going. It's a lot easier to stay at 15 or 20 miles an hour on your bike than it is to get from 0 to 15. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with your Discord server. When you start it up, it's going to take, if you do it right, it's going to take a lot of energy. It's going to take a lot of thought. It's going to take a lot of, not even necessarily collaboration, but just cooperation inside of your community to make them understand why you're doing what you're doing. And when you bring new people in, how to make them feel welcome. It's going to take you posting 2 and 3 and 4 and 12 times a day. It's going to take you as the leader or as the community manager. It's going to take some time for you. But once you get it going, you're going to notice that there's going to be people that are bought in. And the people that are bought in are the people that you as a church leader need to do what every church leader since the dawn of church has ever done. Tap them on the shoulder, have a conversation with them, and see if they'd be willing to help out in your community. See if they'd be willing to help moderate. See if they'd be willing to help post and help do some things. I just had a conversation with somebody in our community who's north of 65, based he's out in Orange County, out in California. I had a conversation with him yesterday, and I was able to he came to me and he wanted to talk about some stuff. And through that conversation, I tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, would you be willing to help with one of these channels? And he said, yeah, like he's a 65-year-old dude that wants to learn all things about digital. And so he's going to be helping manage one of our channels. Like that's what you need to do. But you need to look at the people that are super bought in, that are super responsive, that are always thumbs upping and hearting and giving fire emojis and all that to your posts, and have a conversation with them and see if they'd be willing to help out.
Wow, that's really cool. And I like how, again, while there might be a certain age range that's attracted to Discord initially, 65-year-olds are doing it. So if a 65-year-old can do it, a 49-year-old can do it as well. and I will say this: the more I've played with Discord and invested time in learning about it, the easier it's gotten for me. So I will say that, like when the Church Digital launched their channel, I was a little hesitant, like, I don't know if I can do this. But the more I've gotten into it, the more I've been able to kind of really figure out where I'm going and what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
the scariest part about that is actually taking that first step and installing the app on your phone or putting the app on your desktop. Like that's the biggest thing. A lot of people roll their eyes and go, oh, another one of these. Yeah. And I get that, but Discord is not another one of those. It's not another WhatsApp. It's not another Facebook Messenger. It is something wholly different and something that in my opinion, is way better.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the Church Digital stuff and really the great thing about that, one final thing: how would you encourage churches right now as they're thinking about Discord and maybe they're hearing murmuring about it? How would you encourage churches right now?
I would say that we are at a point in time where the efficacy and the importance of what we're doing digitally has been proven. time after time after time, we hear lost being found, we hear loneliness being cured, we hear all of these things simply by what we're doing in a digital capacity. And if you doubt that, please look me up. I at the Church Digital. You can hit me up on any one of my socials. I would be more than willing to share with you 10 or 15 stories of people that this has happened. And that's just anecdotal stuff outside of all of the studies and all of the Barna research and all of the everything, the Pew research that has actually been happening. The church is at a moment right now that I am afraid that we're going to lose. Uh, and I'm never going to be afraid of God's spirit ever leaving the temple. That's not, I mean, it can, and it possibly will, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we're at a moment that we have the opportunity to use the technology that has been given to us through things like Discord and through the power of the internet to simply just have a conversation with people that are hurting and people that are lost and people that need to see Jesus, people that share common interest with you that you are not reaching right now. And I would say, just take the first step towards Discord. Download it, play around with it, jump into an existing server. If you want to jump into our Church Digital server and see what it's all about first, head on over there. It's free. You don't need to pay anything. You don't need to do anything. You can come over and lurk and just check out all the channels. I really don't care. I want you to see the power of something like Discord in your church's life.
Yeah. No, and again, if anybody knows the stories, it's really you've had plenty of them because again, you were at a physical church as the online guy, but now you are at an all digital church that has been around for a number of years as well. And again, my philosophy has always been if we don't use the technology that we've got, yes, okay, do smartphones do damage to our kids? Yes. I mean, it is not ideal. But the reality is they're spending time on there, and we have an opportunity to share the love of Christ on these platforms, and it's working. There are people who are coming to know Jesus every single day because of the online tools that we're utilizing. So instead of going backwards, we really do need to think about keep on going forward. Discord may or may not be for you, but it is a great platform that more and more people are using. So I think we would do a disservice to our church if we don't look into it. At least look into it and figure out more if it's for us or not.
Amen.
Okay, so now let's talk about the Church Digital Discord. Okay, so what is that all about? And if you're an online pastor or a digital church leader, why would you want to go to the Church Digital Discord?
Well, first of all, it's awesome, and you get to see our smiling faces there all the time, Tom. I'm going to post a screenshot of us recording this in just a few minutes inside of that Discord, and you get to come over and comment on that. No, it is a place. So the biggest thing that we're doing with the Church Digital, we have pivoted a lot in the last 6 months or so. There was a time when we were just trying to figure out what the best thing to do for the Church Digital was, and I and Jeff as well were pushing for the fact that we need to be on the forefront of what it looks like to be a community that takes care of communities, a community that is formed around pastors and leaders and mentors and spiritual disciple makers and all of the and disciplers themselves, a place where we can have that chat running where we're just hanging out, and where we're also sharing and doing life together, where we're sharing prayer requests, where we're actually asking programmatic questions, things that we need to focus on as a church, and then places that we can just kind of blow off steam. We need that. And if you go to discord.thechurch.digital, you'll see that we have a community built out there. We've got 70, 80, almost we're up over 100 people now in our, which is crazy because we only opened it 2.5 weeks ago. And there's people that are active there, that are talking, that are hanging out. We've got literally people from all over the world. We just had a couple people from Lagos and Nigeria join. And one of them, he messaged me this morning, and it was like 3 a.m. my time, so I didn't get it until I woke up. And he just said, "Hello, my name is whatever, and I'm looking to learn a little bit more about digital church. Where do I start?" And it was like, "Yes, you are here, my guy."
Yeah,
that's what we exist to do. This is not a sales pitch. This is not anything. We're not trying to sell you anything. What we are trying to do is support you and encourage you and strengthen you and allow you to ask questions and we're going to ask our own questions because like we don't know it all. We're just simply trying to synthesize a lot of information over there and really give you some best practices. And that's why we exist. Discord.thechurch.digital. Head over there and just click join, and you'll be whisked away into a magical wonderland of Discord.
Finally, there is a Nigerian person who's not trying to hit you up for $1,000, but it's real. They got really encouragement. So thankfully, but
Holy crap.
I gotta say, I'm 100% serious. Digital took a huge step forward with COVID. I say this all the time. This is my drum and this is my soapbox. It took a huge step forward. But now, then, after a year or two, people are like, we'll just go back to what we were doing. And so the encouragement, it's more discouragement for digital and online guys who really see the value of it than encouragement. And that's why I think it's so important to get connected into this Discord channel, because there are people who are learning, there are people who are growing, and there are people who are really doing it who can understand what you're going through.
Yep.
And really kind of help you and encourage you along, because we all need encouragement. We all need some mentors, and we need people that we can actually mentor. And that can happen within the church, while the Church Digital Discord, while you're also having fun with memes and other stuff,
Yeah, while you're laughing at the fact that somebody posted a meme about how Jesus didn't. What did it say? It was, and Jesus said unto the theologians, "Who do you say that I am?" They replied, "You are the eschatological manifestation of the ground of our being, the kerygma of which we find the ultimate meaning in our interpersonal relationships." And Jesus said, ... what? And that's good. That's good stuff. Also, we've had a running conversation about VeggieTales for some reason in there, because why not?
Why not? Everyone needs a little bit of Larry Boy. I mean, that's all I gotta say. They all need a
if I could pattern my life, it would be after Larry. Absolutely.
That's great. Andy, it's always great talking to you. Real quick, other than the Church Digital stuff, what would be the social platform if they got a question for you? What would be the social platform you're most active on that they can connect with you about?
Discord is the biggest one, obviously, but also either Facebook or Instagram. I despise Facebook, but I have to be there because a lot of people are there. Don't take that as a hit on anything else. It's just Facebook, but Instagram as well, at the Real Andy Mage. I'm there all the time, and on YouTube a ton. We have major plans with Lux in the next 6 to 12 months on YouTube, and so you can hit us up over there as well.
That's amazing. And I wish you were more active on Twitter. You are on Twitter, but you're not very active on that.
I tried. I've been on Threads, and I don't know that I like it, but it just feels a little bit more. It's where my tech nerds are hanging out. There was a massive tech nerd exodus after Elon walked the sink in last year, and I can't do it anymore. I miss Twitter, man. I miss the heydays of Twitter where it was sports and tech and fun and videos and all that. And it's just not that anymore to me.
I told a friend of mine literally right before this podcast, I could spend all day on Twitter. I mean, literally. And then I go over the threads and I'm like, that's okay here. So anyways, but hey, that's okay. Andy, it's always great talking to you again. Thanks so much for being with me today.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so what did you think? What encouraged you? What challenged you? What are your thoughts about Discord? What other questions do you have? Definitely put it in the comment section below, or hit me up. Hit just me up, not Andy, but hit me up on Twitter at TA Pounder is my Twitter handle. If you want to hit up Andy, I've got all his links in the show notes. You definitely want to check with him. Again, he loves Discord. He lives on Discord, as he said. And so I want to encourage you, connect with him. He would love to connect with you and encourage you in your digital online ministry. Any other questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. Again, at TA Pounder. That's where I like to live. I'm on Discord as well, but definitely check me out on Twitter. All right, heroes. Well, thanks so much for being with me on the podcast. As always, if you enjoyed the podcast, go and subscribe to it. It's on YouTube. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. It's on all the platforms. I would love for you to check it out today. Subscribe to it so that you can get these every time they come out. Again, heroes, thanks so much for being with me today. And as always, hope you have a great rest of your week.